Hello, everyone. And I happened to mention to my friends that I was going to be making some rose oil, and it was suggested. Actually, I said, shall I make a video? Because I think people have this. I certainly did. When I started, I had this idea that it was very complicated, that you needed certain equipment, and you don't. I'm a kitchen witch, so I use whatever I've got to hand. Now, I'm lucky in that I have got rose bushes in the garden, so I do have my own roses. However, you can do this by actually getting some edible roses. I wouldn't suggest getting roses from the supermarket to do this with, because a lot of them have been treated with pesticides and other bits and pieces. Some of them have even been colour enhanced. So if you're making a rose oil for yourself to use, I would suggest that you buy an edible grade rose petal, which are easily obtained from most places. Amazon certainly do it. Whole Foods online do them. Most Indian shops will have pure edible rose petals. But if you're like me and you're lucky enough that you have roses in your garden, you can pick them and you can use those. Now, here's another admission. I use dried rose petals because every time I have tried to make rose oil with fresh rose petals, it has gone mouldy. It doesn't matter what I do, it goes mouldy. So I've tried it with the lid from the jar. I've tried it with muslin because I've heard that you have to let the air circulate. So I've tied a bit of muslin over it, sat it on the windowsill. It's gone mouldy. So yeah, I've given up. For whatever reason, me making rose oil with fresh rose petals doesn't work. But dried rose petals, and I'm shaking these because they smell absolutely gorgeous, works every time. So yeah, play around, see what works best for you. But yeah, so what you're going to do is you're going to find a jar. Very simple. Most of us have got a jar lying around somewhere. Sterilise it either with boiling water or if you had the oven on, pop it in the oven for a few minutes just to make sure it's nice and clean. Now comes the technical bit. You're going to fill it with rose petals. And you do have to fill it, which is the other reason for giving it a good shake, because you want to get as much rose in as you possibly can. Move that around so I'm twisting so much. But you can see I'm just gently, and you can see that the level goes down a little bit when you do that, because you do need to put as much in as you possibly can if you want a really intense rose. Now, the other thing you may have noticed is I'm not using a big jar. Again, for me, I prefer to make it little and often. I've found that if I make a big batch, even if I keep it in a cool, dry place, after 4 or 5 months, it just doesn't smell rancid, but it doesn't smell like it should. So for me, I prefer to do this and just make a small amount when I know that I'm running low on it. Just tapping it now just to make sure that I've used as much as possible. Oil. Oil is your choice. I'm using almond oil. You can use olive oil as long as it's the cold pressed virgin olive oil stuff that you use for cooking. You could use sunflower oil, any oil basically, except coconut, because coconut, especially at this time of the year, goes solid when it's cooler. And now you are literally, you can't see me, sorry. I am just very, very slowly pouring the oil onto my roses. And the idea is you do it nice and slowly and steadily. I'm just going to turn the jar around just so that I know it's all coming up evenly. And you want to put in enough oil that it is just covering the roses, like that. And then, as you can hear, I'm tapping it. That's just the way I do it. It gets rid of any little air bubbles. In fact, what I will do, so it's not knocking quite so much, I'll borrow Rachel's book. Yes, I have got one of Rachel's books sitting here, because when I realised I would be doing this, I thought I'd say a little bit more about Rose once I've said what I'm doing with this. There's still some air bubbles just coming up, so all I'm doing is literally just tapping it, and that releases any little pockets of air. And you'll actually, having had the oil up over the roses, I don't know that you'll be able to see now, but actually the roses are above the oil where I've released all the air. So, another little drop of oil, just to bring it up. And again, gentle tap, just to make sure air bubble, just when I thought I'd got rid of them. Yep, got down again. You'd be surprised just how many air bubbles. But you want to eliminate them, because you don't want any air to be in this. Just when I think I'm not going to get another one just pops up. Bear with me. It is a little time consuming, but it is really worth it. It's just because that's another thing that I found makes the oil go off that little bit quicker if you've got any air bubbles. That's it. And then I'm just going to hold it up to the light just to make absolutely sure that I can't see any air bubbles trapped anywhere. And that's it. Now, the technical bit. So I'm making this on a waning gibbous. So I will actually sit this on a windowsill for a whole moon cycle so that it picks up the energies of the moon right the way through its phases. The window also happens to be facing south, so it'll pick up the solar energies as well, which I think is always nice to have a little bit of a balance. And that's it. I will check it every couple of days just to make sure it's all looking. Don't know if you can see the colour already. It's lovely. So anyway, what do you use it for? You can use it on your altar as an offering. You can use it as an anointing oil. As some of you know, I'm very into water. Rose is very linked to water magic. So you can anoint your forehead, your hands, your heart, womb space, feet, whatever you fancy. Anoint candles. You can also use it just as a body oil. You know, if you're feeling very goddessy and very feminine, then there is absolutely no reason why you can't use this all over your body. There's nothing in it other than oil and pure rose petals. So anyway, so Rachel's book obviously had to be in the kitchen. If you can't see that, it's The World of Magical Plants and Herbs, one of my go-tos. So what does Rachel say about rose? That we must all be familiar with it. Roses and petals. So rose is a good herb to represent the mother. Also any workings where mysteries need to be delved into. Use rose in any workings for love, psychic powers and knowledge. Rose petals are also good for dream work and moon magic. Long associated with love, so they work for any love spells. Pink roses, friendship. Red roses for passion, white for peace. So, you've got the colour associations there as well. So you've got yellow roses, orange roses. Not orange, they're sort of peachy coloured. Also has a connection with death and rebirth. Sprinkle rose petals in your bath water for balancing. Use rose petals in workings for luck and abundance. And they also work well with hand fastings or for casting a circle because they're biodegradable. So if you're working outside, you can use them to cast your circle. So magical properties: love, psychic powers, healing, luck, protection, peace, mysteries, knowledge, dreams, friendship, death and rebirth, abundance. Ruling planets: Venus and the Moon. Sign Pisces. Element water. Gender feminine. As I said, I also use it as an offering because I'm working a lot with water at the moment. So I use it as an offering on my altar. But yeah, that's it. Sit for a month. Once you've got to the end of your month, I'd say a month at least. Some people I know who make it leave it longer. They leave it for up to 6 weeks. But as I say, I'm using mine for the lunar cycle and the solar. So mine will be in a month's time. And then you strain it. Just a bit of muslin over another sterilised jar or bottle if you've got a wide enough bottle neck. But yeah, muslin, strain your oil through that so that it gets rid of the rose petals, which can then be composted. And there you will have your rose oil for you to use as you want to. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you again sometime.